Hi there, welcome to another one of my videos. So, I'm going to come right out and talk about it today, none of this bullshit. Today's topic is about these fucking masks. What the fuck, people? Seriously. You know, in the spring, when this whole COVID thing started erupting and everybody was paying attention to all the science, you know, listen to the scientists, listen to the doctors, you know, listen to the experts, you know, the people were a little unsure, but they were like, the mask, you know, I remember seeing this one graphic and it showed somebody with a mask on and then somebody else with a mask on, and it showed them sneezing inside their mask, and it showed how much they were protecting the other people. And for some reason, this graphic seems to have become tattooed in everybody's mind. Well, it turns out that graphic is bullshit. It turns out that graphic doesn't mean anything. Like, if you were wearing a mask and you sneezed inside of it, it doesn't end there. What happens after you sneeze inside a mask? You fucking take it off. And you take it off and all that shit's out in the open anyway. And even then you're sneezing through it. If you can breathe through it, you're sneezing through it. The size of the particles that are supposedly being stopped by these stupid fucking masks are so fucking tiny, it's inconsequential. It's like, I've heard the comparison, it's like using a chain link fence to stop mosquitoes. It's pointless. They go right around it, like it's not there. These masks are pointless. Well, they're not pointless. There is a point to them. The point is not to protect you from anything. The point is not to keep you well. The point, beyond impairing your health, it's just like almost everything in this Western world where the medical establishment, you know, it's like they create these treatments that actually cause more problems than they solve. You know, when you go in for cancer, when you get cancer, you know, they don't ever try to cure your cancer. They try to treat your cancer. Oh, let's give you radiation. Let's give you all this poisonous medicine. Let's give you all this other shit that makes sure that you're going to be a customer for life. Let's make sure we weaken your body and make you susceptible to pneumonia. Let's even like get you scheduled for all of these unnecessary preemptive surgeries. You know, I have a sister-in-law that had, you know, granted her family has got a lot of history of breast cancer. Her mom has had breast cancer. Her sister, my sister-in-law, has had breast cancer. But the doctors talked her into having a preemptive mastectomy. Now, I can only imagine the thoughts going through someone's head when agreeing to such a horrific surgery, especially without the presence of cancer. Like, the amount of mental torture you must have to go through to convince yourself that this is a good path, I can only imagine. And for me to criticize it, it kind of makes me feel guilty. But at the same time, I'm like, where does this end? You know, are you going to have your head chopped off to prevent brain cancer? Are you going to have your renal glands removed to prevent renal cancer? Your colon? You know, when do you stop removing body parts that might get cancer? Anyway, this video isn't about cancer. It's just to illustrate that whole industry is based on treatment, not on curing. And I see the same thing happening here with COVID. You know, all of the issues that are being brought up because of all this mask wearing, they're reaping the benefits. And beyond just that, the mask essentially shows who is compliant, who is going to give in to a mandate. You know, there are some countries and there are maybe even some states in the United States where they've passed actual legitimate laws that have legalized this kind of control. But in most places, in the state that I live in, it's a mandate. Well, what the fuck is a mandate? A mandate isn't law. A mandate shouldn't be enforceable by the law, even though there are people that represent the law that are enforcing it. That's illegal. You know, we've had lots of lawsuits nationwide here that have basically backed this up, that these lockdowns and these mask mandates and all of this waving of hands to instead of actually passing laws is unconstitutional. Thank God we've got a constitution that protects us. You know, those poor bastards down in Australia and New Zealand and other countries that are just being absolutely crushed by this shit. It's oh, man. But the funny thing is, and it's not funny, haha, it's funny, strange, it's weird and absurd. The funny thing is, the mask is at the core of it all. The mask is the symbol. You know, here it is towards the end of October 2020, and I know when things had been kind of waning off in the hot summer months. You know, I live out in the country in North Carolina, and I noticed when I would go out in public, you know, I would say it got to the point where about a third of people out in public were wearing the mask, and it was dwindling, and I really thought it was going to go away. And then I noticed a few weeks ago, it turned around completely. And like I would say 70 to 80% of people were wearing the mask. You know, I went to a fast food restaurant. I don't eat a lot of fast food anymore. It's absolute garbage, but I didn't have to, but I was out early in the morning and didn't get a chance to cook my own breakfast. So I was struggling and I needed some calories. Not as bad as I probably thought I did, but anyhow, I digress. I was getting something to eat, and the lady at the register said, "Oh, do you need a mask?" And I said, "No." She said, "Do you have your own mask?" I said, "No." And she looked at me with this just hateful look, and I was like, "I have a medical condition. I can't wear the mask." And thankfully, she didn't question me. That was the first time that I had told someone I had a medical condition and they didn't question me. I think these people are starting to wake up to the legality of that questioning. You know, months ago, people were like, you know, you tell them you had a medical condition and they'd say, "Well, what is it?" And I'd say, "That's a HIPAA violation. You can't ask me about my medical history. You're not my doctor. You're not my care provider. You can't ask me questions about my health." And, you know, people will just shrug it off. And, you know, I hadn't had anybody really butt heads with me, at least not in my little town, you know. But in the bigger city, especially there's a very liberal city not far from me here where freaking everybody is just obsessed with this mask stuff. Yeah, there's people that will bounce you right out of a place. HIPAA violations be damned. Anyhow, I don't really have a medical condition. Anybody that's pressed me further and they ask me what it is, I tell them I'm allergic to stupidity, and I'm not falling for this shit. You know, I look around now, and the few people that aren't wearing masks, I know who they are, and I'm making mental notes, and I hope they're making notes of me, because, you know, it's not that we're non-compliant. We're the only alphas left. We're the only free thinkers left. We're the only freedom-loving people left that aren't willing to be crushed under this fear. And that's all it is, people. It's fear. Fear. The mask, they think it protects them from fear. The mask is fear. All right. So, you know, just as a caveat, I'm not saying that people that are sick shouldn't be wearing masks. I'm not saying people that feel like they have, you know, a true need for it, or have compromised health, or have small children they want to protect. Even though the younger you are, it seems like the less likely you are to be hurt by this virus, if it even exists. But I'm not accusing people who really, really feel an actual need for this. That's fine. Great. People that are just casually wearing it because they're told to, those are the people I'm being critical of. Those of you that know in your heart that it's fucking pointless, but you're just being a good little citizen. You're just being a nice, compliant person. You don't want to cause problems. Well, you know what? Fuck that shit, and fuck you. because you're making it harder on everybody, especially if you know it's bullshit. If you know it's bullshit, why are you playing along? You're gonna regret it one day. I mean, it's a mask now, but what's next? You know, the mask is just a test. It's a beta test for total control. And if you give in to this little thing now, what are you going to give into next? That slope gets real slippery real fast, folks. You got to watch out for it. Me, I'm not wearing a fucking mask. I'd like to see you make me. Anyway, I love you. I mean it. Until next time. Until next time. Ha ha.